Morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning. It's February 1st. I just thought I would do this quick video just to address a question that I've been asked 100 times. And I feel like if I just do this video and just share it with whoever asked me the question, it'd be easier. And I'm just going to simplify it, right? And the question is, how do you manage as an entrepreneur in a very difficult time where COVID-19 is prevalent, right? So you have to look at it from two perspectives. One is that COVID-19 has induced a recession. What happens during a recession? There's economic contraction. There's less liquidity, less buying power. So your revenues are going to be hit. So what do you do when your revenues are hit? The same things you do in a recession is the same thing you do when revenues hit, right? You apply Pareto principle. On your cost side, you make sure that you are not, you're cutting down on your costs, right? Because of the fact that if there's going to be a reduction in revenue, then there has to be some sort of a management on the cost side. Of course, it also includes making very difficult decisions. Do you furlough employees or lay some off to manage or sustain the business? It's a very difficult thing to do, especially in an Ubuntu culture like ours, right? Then the other thing is other things that would be regarded as wasteful expenditure or luxury expenditure. You know, there's always areas you can always cut. And then from a revenue standpoint, again, applying the Pareto principle, because typically 20% of the things that we do result in 80% of our outcomes. So really focusing on your revenue drivers, addressing specific clients, or if you have a full suite of products or services, it's about focusing on the ones that actually drive revenues. Well, some of the other ones tend to be a lot less efficient. So those are the type of decisions you have to make. The other thing is in relation to what has it done? How has it changed our lives? So one is it's created channel disruptions. Now, what does that channel disruption mean? Countries where there's been lockdowns, so whether it be stores closed or people not being able to go to certain places, it means that if your business depends on accessing clientele through retail or that form of a channel, it means that's disrupted. So it means that you have to pivot. You always hear people, oh, how do you pivot? What is pivot? It's changing your business model to allow your product or your service to get to your client in a manner that doesn't require interface, right? Direct interface. It could be delivery. It could be some form of a digital solution, right? This is why most of the digital companies like the FANG stocks and the likes are doing pretty well, because they don't really require physical interface. In fact, if anything, it has increased virtual interface, and this is why those companies are doing as well as they're doing. So that's the issue, is about evaluating your channels and making decisions to pivot around that. The other thing is repurposing. If you're in production, there's some things that are being produced that are may or may not be relevant or in need to a client, right, during this time. So companies have changed. You know, let's say, for example, some companies that produce lotion, whatever, have repurposed to produce something else that's more relevant. Of course, I can't answer the question because people have different businesses. The other thing is supply chain disruption that's transpired. Now, because we're an import-dependent economy, a lot of the production that takes place in Zambia and a lot of the trading that takes place in Zambia arises from the fact that we source goods from abroad. So if there's disruptions in shipping, in transport and the like, then of course you're going to face a challenge. And that's compounded by the fact that we have a currency depreciation. So it means your imports are a lot more expensive. So you have to just pass on at least a significant amount of your costs to your client, which obviously, again, adds to the burden of the recession. And of course, you know, your revenues will be hit by that. So those are things that you have to evaluate. So it's a very difficult question to answer because each business model is very different. But I think most importantly is that those are the factors that are worth evaluating. So I hope that helps, and wishing you the very best of luck. Let's go.